Hello there and welcome to my channel. My name is NonGone and I've never been really good at anything. I finally one day said enough is enough, and using the power of the internet and a little help from my friends, I decided to learn how to do stuff. And you can too. In today's episode, I'm going to learn to make a pie. Now, my grandma's definitely the person that I think of the most when I think about pies. Her and her aunts used to bring 4, 5, 6 pies over to Thanksgiving, all very good, very tasty, and very homemade. I'm not a total noob in the kitchen, but most of my stuff is savory side, so steaks, spaghetti, dinner, potatoes, normal stuff. Baking is very scary to me. It requires a lot of precision, a lot of chemistry, a lot of techniques that I didn't know until I started this process. I've chosen a fruit pie for this, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do. And hopefully, if you watch this video in just a few minutes, you'll be able to make your very own very tasty pie. First thing you're going to need, a pie tin. I got this big one from my mom, but a foil one from the store works fine too. You're going to need a knife of some sort, some small and large measuring cups, and a bowl big enough to put both your hands in. Rolling pin. Mine still has the handles on it. It's an old one. I guess nowadays that's considered cheating, but whatever. Anyone who's going to judge you on your rolling pin's not someone you want to know anyway. Get what you like. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a pie. I'm going to fast forward. I won't show you all the iterations that I did. We're on our third attempt at this, but I'll give you a little bit of story that brings us up to speed, just so you know you can't just jump right in and make a great pie. You got to practice a bit. So the first time I did it, I Googled the first thing that came to mind, and I made the recipe. And I noticed two problems right off the bat. The first one was that the filling was way too runny. I don't know what happened, but it was kind of all over the place, as you can see. Also, the crust you can't see in a picture, but it kind of tasted a lot like vegetable shortening, which is not a flavor that I'm super big fan of. So those were my two action points for step 2. So after we ate the horrible pie of the first iteration, we went to step 2, and I found this really great recipe. I'll put it in the description. I'll put a link, and it's on Food Network. And this one has butter for the crust instead of shortening, so that problem's solved. And I also noticed it only has about a tablespoon of lemon juice and the natural juices from the peaches as the filling, so that should make it a little bit drier and get it to set a little better, like a good pie should. So after my second attempt, we did definitely fix the filling issue. It was a little more gelled, a little less liquidy. Unfortunately, the crust with the butter in it got real hard and dense. There was almost like you want flaky pie crust, and it was not flaky. And I really didn't know what to do about that. But I do know an expert in making pies, and that is my grandma. So after contacting my grandma, she gave me a little bit of wisdom, which is keep everything really cold. And I took that to heart. I looked it up on the internet as to why that would be, and it's absolutely 100% correct. When you make a pie, the most important thing when you do it with butter is that it will melt, even with the heat of your hands. So you definitely want to keep the butter as cold as possible, and we'll be doing that on our third try. So the first thing we're going to do is take these 2 sticks of butter, cut them up, and put them back in the fridge. Remember, keep everything as super, super cold. We're going to mix our flour, sugar, and salt from the recipe, and then we're going to put this really cold butter right back in. The recipe says use the food processor, but we can just use our hands. So we're just going to mix it. It's my favorite part right there. Do it till it reaches a kind of a pea consistency. It almost looks like a little gravel, like kind of crumbly. Get about a half a cup of ice water and start pouring it in little by little as you mix it until it comes together for dough. That ice water keeps it cold as well. Make sure there's actually ice in the water. Once that's done, we're going to divide it in half, squish it down into a disc, and wrap it in plastic and put it back in the fridge for an hour at least. Okay, you ready? This is my big joke. Here we go. I worked all day on this. While the dough is chilling, we're going to work on the filling. Oh my God, that tastes so bad. I hope the pie tastes better than that joke. Anyway, we're going to make the filling. And to do that, we're going to process these peaches. Quickest way I found was to cut them around like this, give it a little twist, a little crank, and pull the pit right out. From there, you can use a peeler or a knife and get the peel off, and then just slice them up, put them in the bowl. Go ahead and add the sugar, flour, lemon juice, and all the spices. So anyway, we got that. Let's go ahead and build this pie. So keep everything in the fridge if you're not touching it. Again, we're keeping it as cold as possible. First, we're going to grab the first disc. We're going to throw some flour down on the counter, throw the disc down, throw some flour on top so it doesn't stick to anything. Roll it out until the dough is smooth and uniform and is bigger than your pie plate. If you get cracks like this, just squish them back together and roll over it. It should repair them pretty good. Go ahead and lay it in the plate and make sure you push it down in the corners so that the metal is touching the crust. Go in the fridge, grab your filling and dump it right on top. It's fine if it mounds like that. And then take 2 teaspoons of butter and cut them into little pieces like this and dot them all over the top. Okay, that goes back in the fridge for a minute. So let's grab the second disc and roll it out just like the first. Cut them into strips about a 1/2 inch. I have fat fingers, so it's a little thinner than my fat fingers. If you have regular fingers, it's about the width of your index finger. Lay them all across the top like this, and then lay them all across horizontally like this. You don't have to interweave them. It's not a bridge. You don't need structural integrity, just a pie crust. So once you do that, go ahead and trim the dough from the edges, and then crimp all the way around the pie like this. You're just kind of squeezing it so it's all one uniform dough. The last thing we have to do is the egg wash. So we're going to beat 1 egg with 1 tablespoon of water and brush it over the top. If you don't have a brush, you can just dip like 2 or 3 fingers in it and kind of do it that way. You just want to get it coated. It's what makes the crust really brown. I take a little bit of sugar as well, and that's in the recipe. So a tablespoon of sugar and just kind of put it over top. And then refrigerate that for 30 minutes as well. Again, we want this to be as cold as possible when it hits the oven. Very important. Keep things cold. Thanks, Grandma.
Okay, we're ready to put this in the oven. Just cook it according to the directions on the recipe. It'll take about an hour and 15 minutes. And once that comes out, cool it down all the way before you slice it. At the end of all of that, you will have your very own brand new peach pie. Let's give it a little taste.
Yeah, that came out really good. That's definitely a 10 out of 10. The crust is light and flaky. The filling held together really well. It's not runny at all. The peaches kind of got a little bite to them, but they're still cooked all the way through. So definitely worked out on that end. I will definitely make this again. So that's it. NonGone makes a peach pie. You can too if you're willing to be a little bit persistent and take a couple of passes at it and also learn from your mistakes. So that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I sure enjoyed making it and certainly enjoyed eating it. In the meantime, stay bad, people. NonGone is gone.